Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you have watched me before, welcome back. I'm really excited to do this video because I normally do very time sensitive material with astrology and stuff like that, but I decided to do a timeless video. I was going to do November blessings, but then I decided why not do just blessings that are coming for you. So that's what we're going to be doing today. If it's your first time watching me, hi, welcome. I do tarot and oracle readings and will implement astrology usually, but there probably won't be that much astrology in this reading. Like if something pops up into my head or I get some type of message about something, sure, I'll say it. But normally I'm a little bit more like focused on astrology, and I won't really do that for this one. It's going to be mostly just blessings that are coming your way, specifically for you in this time period where you decided to watch this video and receive the messages that are here. So I have 3 decks right here below, and I will show that on the screen. I want you to take 3 deep breaths, and I want you to just, think about what type of messages it is that you're wanting to know right now, and then intuitively choose between 1, 2, and 3 starting on the left. And then we'll just go ahead and you can go down into the comments and skip ahead to that part. Okay, cool. So let's get started. Okay, hello deck 1. Here is your reading. Let's throw a few cards out here. Okay. The very first thing that I saw was the devil. So that tells us that some of you guys might have been dealing with temptation for a while. And the 9 of Feathers here tells me too that there's been kind of like some punishments that have come your way for a while now whenever it comes to giving into these types of things. Okay, so one thing Spirit is like really wanting you to know right now is that you might have been giving into temptations and it might have been bringing you stress and difficulty sleeping and things like that, but you do have an idea of how to get yourself out of this. So here's the Ace of Flames. You have an idea of, let's say, like a creative spark or something that's going to like take you out of this situation where you can continue to stop doing these things. But it's going to take some learning because we have Daughter of Coins here. So it's going to take some studying. It's going to take like really figuring out exactly what it is that you want for your life so that you're not kind of like going around aimlessly, And so I feel like that's something that's going to be coming up for you, is sort of like studying and figuring out like, how can I become the person that I want to be? Instead of this person that has always lived in these cycles that other people have conditioned me to live in, Because temptations, addictions, cycles, those things don't just start from nowhere. It's something that you were taught to participate in, whether it was like your parents did it and you observed that, or like maybe you felt a connection with somebody who ended up being toxic and they kind of like trained you to live into these cycles, especially relationships that were on and off at a young age, right? If some of us start a relationship as a teenager and it's on and off for years, that's going to create cycles that we're going to live in for the rest of our lives. So it's important to kind of like think about that whenever it comes to learning how to stop these cycles and move on from the things that we're always living in. I have lavender here. Relief, worthiness, and tranquility. So this tells me that you probably do feel a little relieved to hear this message, and it could be good medicine for you right now. Because maybe you do feel like you don't have much control over what's going on, and you're kind of like wanting to be like, how can I stop this? What can I exactly do? Because I feel like I don't have any control over myself, But you do, and you're worth so much more than these like toxic cycles or like these like negative thoughts that you might have about yourself. You're so much more than those things, But you might not have had anybody make you believe that about yourself, which actually, is fine. Like, it sucks. But it's also like you're the one to validate yourself, Like, we can't really like wait around for people to validate us because it might not ever happen. For some of us, that's like honestly our karma too. For some of us, to never receive validation is something that we're meant to experience in this life because we're meant to validate ourselves. That's something that I particularly have to deal with in this life, is like not really having validation or feeling like I belong or like all these things, And at first it used to really make me upset, and I would like spiral out, and I would honestly like be self-destructive in my relationships, like my friendships and stuff. I would be rude or like whatever, and then I'd get upset whenever they left, but at least I felt like I had some sort of control over them leaving rather than abandonment, And I'm sure some of you guys can relate. But it was just like that moment in transition of realizing that, oh, it's part of my karma to not receive validation from other people. So me looking for it by like trying to be the best friend that I can, or trying to get validation that I am not lovable, you know, in some way, it's it was worthless. You know what I mean? It was just me living in cycles whenever I should have been like taking charge and validating myself. So I felt like for some of you guys, you needed to kind of like hear that of like kind of like a way or a reason to stop doing these things, you know, because it really is true about like being your own friend or being your own motivator or things like that. You know, you don't really need somebody else, even though a lot of us feel like we do. We have mugwort here. So omen, mysticism, and ceremony. So I feel like it could be important for you to maybe do some manifestation whenever it comes to this. And I would say being in isolation and being introspective will actually probably be important for your spiritual work. I know that might like sound sucky if you're a type of person who is extroverted, but that's going to be part of what will kind of like take you there, is like, because we can't really, even if you're experiencing magic with a group of people, you're still doing it on an individual level, if that makes sense. Like whenever you meditate in a group and you have your own like journey or something, it's still like within. So that's why I'm saying it might be good to have this isolation, because with this mysticism, it's important for like psychic growth, to like spend time by yourself, meditating by yourself, having like peaceful like settlement within, instead of like searching for other people to kind of like show us a direction of how we should feel or what we should do. I have snowflake obsidian here. Shadow, integration, introspection. Didn't I just say introspection? Okay, so yeah, so that's what's going to be really important for you to figure out. Like, this is going to be the studying it'll take for you to kind of like move on from the stuff that's happening. And, you know, this will be a blessing. I know that dark periods can be scary, but a dark period of isolation can be an amazing place to have a breakthrough, an amazing place to do shadow work. And once you've completed the shadow work, it kind of like brings you into, you know, the next phase of your growth. Okay, we have bear here. And then we also have chameleon. I think I know what these are, but I haven't used this deck in a while, so I'm going to look up the descriptions just to be 100% sure I'm giving you the right message. For bear, we have opportunity. I am ready when the moment arrives. A bear stands in the river alert and ready for the perfect moment when a fish comes close enough to catch. It does not pounce on everything that moves, but saves its energy for when it feels right. Opportunities always present themselves to us. They may pass us by because we are not prepared. We are distracted by something else, or even worse, we don't notice them. One way to change this is by becoming more present and aware. You can open yourself up to opportunities by being mindful of how you feel when these events arise. The less distracted you are, the more open you will be to magical moments. In addition to being present, Bear urges you to take action to meet these opportunities halfway. Bear does not stand in the forest waiting for its dinner to swim by. It finds a stream where the fish live. The right opportunity will present itself. Be ready to catch it when it does. Okay, and that's over here with lavender, mugwort, the devil, and ace of flames. So the ace of flames is that like new spark of some type of energy, and that relief and worthiness of like figuring out like how exactly you can implement like being more sure of yourself into your life, you know, and deciding no longer to play into these same cycles of temptation that might have been there before. Like you are being presented an opportunity to move on and move forward. And it's important for you to be open and ready for this opportunity whenever it pops up for you. For chameleon, we have energy. I am aware of the energy that flows through me. Chameleons will change color in response to their surroundings, much like we shift our energy based on our mood. There are many ways we manipulate our energy to suit our circumstances. We mimic other people's energy to blend into their environment. We project an aura of calm so others feel comfortable with us. We shapeshift to be the life of the party or blend into the furniture. Most of the time, we are not even aware we are doing this. Chameleon tells you to become aware of your life force. Be mindful of the energy you project and absorb. Know the difference between adapting to your environment and trying to fit in so that you don't lose yourself. What is your energy level right now? Do you feel drained of your joie de vivre? Are you changing your own color to please someone else? Or is what you're feeling authentic, or are you carrying someone else's baggage? Anytime you feel overwhelmed, remove yourself from the situation, take a deep breath, and be in the stillness of your own soul. And that is here with shadow, integration, introspection, and also that 9 of feathers of like being kind of like wrapped up in like the, the drama, the stress, not being able to sleep, stuff like that. Stuff that honestly should have boundaries around it. Like, I know that sometimes we can't control if we're like losing sleep over a situation because it's just like overwhelming, but there has to be a boundary there of like, okay, I have sleep, so I need to sleep, so I'm going to like block off worrying about this right now. I do understand it's hard in some situations. When I was living in an abusive environment last year, it was really hard to sleep every night because honestly, I didn't know if something was going to happen. There were many nights when something happened. There were many nights when I did eventually fall asleep and someone knocks on my door and they're crying, they're hysterical, they're screaming at me, they're, like there's all kinds of things that like could have happened in that home. So I can't understand that like sometimes it is hard to sleep because you're just not in an environment where you can. So that's whenever like sleep meditation videos are important. Lock your door if you can, if you are living in a situation like I was living in, or create like that boundary of like, do not knock on my door at a certain like time, and be like, strict about it. So I'm getting the feeling that chameleon is really like telling us that it's important to like have these boundaries and keep them. And I feel like with this introspective time where you're studying how to do these things, how to not live in the cycles anymore, that the boundaries will be important. And remember the chameleon thing. Like if you're hanging out with people, ask yourself like, am I really enjoying this? Am I pretending to enjoy this? Am I changing who I am? Besides running yourself through a filter, it should be important to have that's another part of boundaries as well, is like running what you're going to say to other people through a filter. That's fine. Like they were saying, what's the difference between adjusting or losing yourself? So that's like really important to kind of like ask yourself, like, do I feel my sense of self right now, or am I just attaching onto someone else's sense of self? Are my opinions shifting and changing based on this person? And that can be a really important question for a lot of mutable signs, because mutable is that would be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Those are all mutable signs. And kind of their thing is that they do like shift and change to adapt. They're easily adaptable. They can take on a bunch of projects at once. They're the type of people that have a lot of friends, a bunch of different kinds of friends and stuff like that. But they are the ones that sometimes can lose themselves a little bit in relationships because they're just so like wanting to attach to somebody else or wanting to feel somebody else's energy. So it's important to really like separate yourself from that and figure out if you're being your authentic self or if you're just trying to fit in. Okay, here's some kind of like good things to remind yourself of, like grounding instead of like becoming, obsessed with this cycle stuff. Like this is stuff to like, feel more at peace with yourself. And we have, I care for the earth. So it's important whenever you're making decisions of what you're going to do that you're being mindful about not only yourself, but the earth in general. Are you like the type of person who will litter? Like that's just an example, but like, and you also don't have to be like hardcore, like you don't have to go like vegan or anything like that. But like in what ways are you caring for the earth, and like caring for yourself and being mindful of yourself and your environment, and not just in your home environment, but also the environment of your community, the environment of the world. How are you contributing to that, Because that's a part of mindfulness, is to be aware of our actions and how it affects our environment. I am forgiving. So this is a reminder too to let things go. If you're carrying a lot of hate or a lot of wounds from the past where people have hurt you and you want to take revenge on that, or you want to keep proving that you're that same person and that you haven't changed or whatever it is, it's time to release that stuff. And that's kind of here with that devil card. So that tells me that that's like that temptation for you, is to maybe sometimes like play the victim a little bit, but now is the opportunity for you to move out of that mind state and learn how to be more accepting of what happened in the past and who you were, because it's okay. I am accepting. So this is an opportunity to not only be accepting of others, like, yes, but also to be accepting of yourself. Because if you're accepting of yourself and you like know and understand that you love yourself, then other people's validation doesn't really matter, right? It's totally about like just feeling one with the earth. I'm here, I'm having a human experience. I am, a victim of the human condition, just like everyone else on earth. Some people are in a worse situation than me. Some people are in a better situation than me. But all of us experience happiness and suffering at different degrees. And I am accepting of what is given to me. I am accepting of the suffering I have experienced. And I'm also accepting of the happiness that comes and goes in my life. Kind of like just a little affirmation there of like accepting yourself and understanding that like, yeah, we make mistakes and that's okay. We have 10 of Swords reversed. So this tells me that you are tired of like we've been saying, honestly, you're tired of the cycles you've been living in. You're tired of the betrayal. You're tired of the hurt. You're tired of like trying so hard to be seen and never being seen. Like you just don't want that anymore. And this is a really good place to be if you have been living in that situation. It's a really good place to be where it's like, I'm tired of this, because being tired of it means that there's something else you want to do. You don't want to keep living there. So with the 9 of Feathers we had earlier, that like staying up late at night, that like not being able to sleep and everything like that paired with this 10 of Swords reversed tells me that like that's really coming to an end very soon. You're not going to be living in this like really stressful mind state anymore because you're tired of it and you want a solution. And I think the solution for you will be some isolation, but try not to fear isolation, because isolation is helpful for us. We have 10 of Wands here. This is a reminder to not take on other people's baggage. We were talking about the chameleon thing earlier, right? So like, do other people's problems become your problem? Like that's just something to kind of think about. Like if you're feeling very powerfully about something, especially after somebody told you something, just take a moment to ask yourself, like, is this mine? Did I consent to this? Because sometimes people will put their baggage on you and you didn't consent to it. Like they're just like, hey, do you want to hang out? And that seems like something normal, and then they just like unload onto you. And like, it's okay to like reach out and talk to your friends and stuff like that. And, but there has to be a boundary there. And it also has to be clear, like, hey, can we talk about what's going on? Instead of like taking an event and just making it about this like dramatic thing that's going on in their life. So if you feel like somebody's doing that to you, it's important to kind of like have those boundaries around that. And honestly, sometimes you got to make the choice to be like, I'm not really going to hang out with this person for a little while. Like if it really is like draining to you, I'm not really going to hang out with this person for a while. Like I'll talk to them if they reach out to me, but I'm just kind of like keep it low key for a little while, because like their drama isn't your drama, We have the Hierophant reversed. So this tells me that soul searching will be very important for you. And we have, that opportunity card here, and that I am forgiving. So I feel like going on a path of forgiveness and relief and worthiness, like searching for those things, is going to end up being a lot of like spiritual growth you'll need inside, like kind of like being your own spiritual guru. And I can see that like there might be some confusion on how to do that. But a good place to start is always journaling and meditation. That's a really good place to start for being your own spiritual guru. You can pick up things like doing tarot. You can, get into astrology. You can get into these other like healing type of practices for sure, if that's what's helpful for you. But it's really important to figure out like how you can navigate spiritually for yourself, because it's going to be important for you to like look for that stuff within. We have 7 of Swords reversed. So this tells me that at some point you did care a lot about what other people were saying. Maybe you had toxic friendships. I'm really getting that in my head a lot. Toxic relationships, friendships, living in cycles. You are totally not alone, because I have experienced that as well. Just like continuously being friends with the same people and wondering why I'm in the same spot over and over again. But you like not realizing that that's what I'm doing. But you're kind of at the point where you don't want to deal with it anymore, and you don't really care anymore what they have to say. And that's a really important place to be. It's a really good place to be, because like if you don't care what they're saying about you, then you're free, So then you have the choice to decide like what you want to spend your energy on, what you want to spend your time on outside of that person. And then we have Queen of Wands here, but it's reversed. So this tells me that there's a definite spark inside of you that's being pushed down. And I'm thinking it's from these other people. So that's why I'm thinking this isolation period for introspection is going to be so important, because you're going to have a breakthrough. And whenever you have this breakthrough, it's going to open you up for opportunities to start making friendships and relationships that are actually beneficial for you, you know? And you're not going to keep living in these cycles anymore, because like, you're a badass bitch. That's what this Queen of Wands is. You have the ability to take control of things. You're very artistic, you're very creative, you're very driven, but it's being pushed down by the people in your life because they don't want to see that, you know? And that's not based on you, it's based on their own personal things, you know? Listen to the way people talk about themselves. It's different to like understand how you are, you know, like, oh, I'm like this, but you know, I work on it by being this way or whatever, rather than somebody who's just like, yeah, I'm just difficult. Yeah, people just don't like me. Drama just happens around me all the time. Or like, especially people where things always happen to them, you know, and they don't ever take responsibility for like playing out cycles or playing out roles or something like that. That starts to become people that like are very draining to the energy because they don't ever stop. They're always living in the same cycles. And many times they'll be seeking validation from you that it's okay to keep living in these cycles. And that also means shaming you when you're not living in cycles anymore. That's a form of validation for them. Because if they can shame you and make you feel guilty or bad for what's happening for you, you know, like your growth, then that like helps them feel better about the fact that they're not growing and they're staying the same. So that's important for you to think about, like when it comes to friendships and stuff. We have unfamiliar territory. Okay, so you're trying to experience something that like you haven't experienced before. And that's a good thing, because this is giving you the chance to kind of like see things through clearer eyes, you know, like you finally see. I feel like I feel like there was a spiritual awakening of sorts for you in the past, and like very recently. And I mean, with all the planets aligning the way they were, that's not surprising. So this is unfamiliar territory for you because you've lived most of your life asleep and now you're awake. And that's where this like acceptance comes from, and no longer like taking on other people's stuff, and no longer like dealing with people like just kind of like poking you, you know? Like you finally like feel happy about something. Maybe you're sharing your spiritual growth with people and they're just talking down to you, you know? And it's totally okay to separate from those people. Like you don't have to cut them off or whatever if like you can't or you just don't want to. But you can put these boundaries there. And especially even like just silence sometimes can be a good boundary. Like let's say you're texting with somebody and they send you a text that's rude, talking down to you. Just don't reply. Why continuously set the boundary? Like tell somebody once, like, hey, I don't really like when you talk to me like that. And then if they continue to do it, just don't reply. Or like if you're at an event with them, just leave. Just be like, I don't want to be around this. I've already told you. You know, they'll make you feel bad. They'll make you feel like you're being a drama queen. They'll make you feel like you're not a good friend. They'll do all those things. But it's like, it's really because they feel guilty about the way they're treating you. And that's not really your baggage. You know, we have the worker here. So it's going to be a lot of hard work for you with this spiritual guru stuff. And continuing to release other people's bad comments about you, which, you know, it sucks because it does feel good in a way to like not really care that they're saying those things anymore, but it still is annoying because then it starts to become kind of like, okay, especially if it's like a close friend or like a family member or something, it does start to become like, okay, how can I like pull away a little bit? You know, like if you've been living in these cycles for years with this person where you guys are like really close, but they treat you like crap, and you finally have woken up to the fact that they treat you like crap, and then now you're like, it would set off red flags for them if you're suddenly being distant. So then that does become like an issue of something you have to deal with. But this is going to go right here with that oh, sorry, I got confused for a second. But yeah, it's with that spiritual guru inside, and kind of like using the fact that you don't care what they think as a motivator to be a little bit alone, even if they're picking on you, even if they're like, oh, I guess you don't want to hang out anymore. Oh, I guess you're like on your own journey with whatever, you know, like if they're rude like that, like, so, you know, you don't want to be friends with people who are pressuring you anyways. Like, what type of friendship is that? And then we have abundance here, which is just kind of a reminder that, like, if you are looking for these opportunities and catching them, and then you're also, like, being your most authentic self and not giving into what other people want you to be, or, like, what you feel like you have to be in order to, like, have acceptance, if you're just not even playing that game with people, you will start to receive abundance in a really big way. That's why I'm saying this dark period might seem scary, but it'll actually be a great place of a breakthrough for you, where you're like, I'm not going to put up with that anymore. I'm not going to deal with people who treat me this way anymore. I'm done with it. And once you've done that, then you're just moving on, like straight up, you know? I got some self-care cards here and some affirmation cards. So I am open and receptive to all good. I deserve to live in an atmosphere of joy and acceptance. We're talking about that. My past is part of the richness and fullness of life. That means happiness and suffering. Without my past, mistakes and all, I would not be here today. I love myself for my willingness to learn and grow. Okay, it's much deeper, right? Than acceptance or hating ourselves, or, you know, we can accept ourselves, but I mean like validation. It's more important than validation from other people. It's more important than being tied to those things either. Like, have you ever had people bring up stuff that happened from forever ago? I have certain family members that will bring up things I did when I was 8 and try to like hold that against me still. And it's just like, do you really think I'm the same person I was almost 20 years ago? You know? But it's just like, that's their perception of being stuck in the past, and you don't want to be stuck in the past. Like, yeah, those things happen and they're a part of like who I am now, but I don't have to like continue to hate myself because of something I did when I was 8, you know? I don't have to continue to like, I feel like some people, they're filled with a lot of shame, and they feel like an immense amount of shame for who they are, and they want you to feel shame too. So they're going to bring up your past so you'll continue to feel shame whenever like you've already apologized, you've already paid your dues, you already received karma for what you did, you know? And it's time to like move on. And some people want to keep you there. And I used to say it where I was like, I've learned it's a red flag with people when an apology is not enough, you know? And I mean a genuine apology. I don't mean like, sorry, you misunderstood, you know, and that, like that. Like a genuine apology. If so you like genuinely apologize to somebody like, hey, I was wrong. I will be more conscious of what I do in the future. And I will do my best to not have that repeat again, you know, or something, you know? And if you genuinely apologize to somebody and they still are like harping onto it and shaming you like, yeah, because that was really messed up. Yeah, because you know, and they just keep going. They're not accepting the apology. That's a person who wants to live in the past, and honestly, a person who wants to remain a victim. You know, they don't want to like move on. And that's not, you don't have to live in that reality where you were always this person who did that thing that one time, you know, like you don't have to live in that. So it's important to like let that stuff go, but also recognize that it is a part of who you are, you know, but don't punish yourself for it endlessly. We have, for self-care, look for fairies. I guess some of you guys in this group like might be interested in fae. I don't know much about it, honestly, so I would say that you look into it if that's something that you're interested in, and start looking for it and thinking more about it. And then we have meditate. I was saying earlier that meditation is going to be really important for you to start connecting. It's a really good place to start whenever it comes to like being more intuitive and being more into yourself and stuff, you know? It's going to be hard work for you, but it'll be important, and it'll bring that like badass bitch out, you know? And then I have positive affirmations. Write some positive affirmations around your house, you know, so that it's always a reminder. And the more you say it to yourself, the more you'll start to believe it. I wrote some in my bathroom when I was living in that situation I was talking about earlier, about ways that I wanted to feel and things that I knew that I was deep down, but I wasn't feeling it because I was constantly being like pushed down and talked down to and all those things. So I wrote it down. I wrote down things like, I'm a caring person who sees the beauty in everyone. That's a true thing, you know? But like, there's also that boundary of like not always taking on other people's stuff, you know? So it's important to like have that like back and forth of like, I am a kind person, or I am a giving person of all people, or, you know, whatever, like write something down. I find beauty inside myself everywhere I go. Or these affirmations. I am open and receptive of all good. My past is part of the richness and fullness of my life. Just write how you want to feel. You know, write it everywhere so that whenever you see it, it can be a reminder to yourself. My fiance does it too. He has affirmations written on the fridge, written in the room, everywhere, so that it's a reminder of like how I want to be. And whenever I'm feeling low vibration or feeling outside of myself or something like that, whenever I go to get a drink out of the fridge, it literally says on the fridge, my ego is my enemy, you know, or something like that. And it's a reminder to not get caught up in that stuff. So, okay, your reading was pretty long, kind of hoping the other readings aren't as long, but I really just felt compelled to like have this connection with you. So I really hope that this resonated. If it did, please leave a comment to let me know, and I will see you next time. Okay, hello group 2. Let's see what messages we have for you. Pull a few cards out. Okay. We have, already what I'm seeing is a few major arcana cards. So this means that these blessings messages that I'm about to give to you are a part of actually your destiny. So it's a part of your divine path. So you're meant to experience what's happening for you right now. We have the star here, which is a symbolization of hope. So like not giving up and continuing to hope for the best for, you know, your, for your situation. We have the mediatrix here. So this is about sort of like finding balance in your life. And we have the sun. So that means that brighter days are coming. Things are coming up for you. And then we have 7 of Cups, which talks to me about options. So if we're kind of like putting these together here, this gives me the idea that like, I get the feeling that maybe you felt kind of limited in the past, but now you're feeling like you have more options. So it's making you feel a little bit more hopeful. And the truth is that you do have more options and that you do have the ability to like receive abundance. But there's also a reminder to have moderation. So let's say you do have a lot of options right now, like maybe a lot of job options, and you used to be worried about work. And so now you want to like take on a bunch of different jobs or like take on a bunch of stuff. And then now it's become too much. So it's important for you to kind of like be a little bit more realistic, like ground yourself a little bit. Because we do have a lot of positive energy here, but sometimes whenever we're positive, I don't want to take away from, you know, the seriousness of bipolar, you know, disorder, but like that manicness, that like really intense, like high happiness, like you might not have a mood disorder, but I feel like a lot of people do experience this like these like time periods of like when you're very excited about something that you are not being mindful of the actual reality of taking these things on. So just kind of something to like think about. But opportunities are opening up for you, and you're gonna, this is part of your divine path. So you're gonna end up like, you might even have the opportunity to like try out different jobs. Like maybe you work here and you're just not really sure if it fits for you, and then something else pops up and it just seems like a better opportunity. So then you'll go for that, you know? And that's okay too. Try not to feel restricted. I'll do that to myself where I'll feel like I have to like stay at this job or whatever, even though I'm like not happy there. But then the universe will end up making it to where I literally can't work there anymore. Because I'm, you know, chronically ill or whatever. But yeah, so it's like the universe will find a way to like take it away if you're not like being mindful of yourself. So let's get into the ritual deck here. We have Waning Crescent, Acceptance, Allowance, and Evolution. Okay, so you're evolving, you're accepting more of yourself. You're evolving. We have Strength, Passion, and Intensity here for red candle. And that's with that happiness and with that moderation. And then we have Rose, Beauty, Perfection, Goddess. Ooh. So I feel like you've been feeling way more positive about yourself recently, or if you're not yet, you're going to pretty soon. You're going to start having more of like, you're going to have a high period of happiness, which is great. And don't be afraid. Like, don't be like, oh no, it's going to run out, because like happiness and suffering are both of equal importance. So yes, something will happen eventually. I'm not saying like, I'm not putting a bad omen on you, but it's just like, there are ups and downs in life. But I feel like a really good like up period is coming up for you, where things are just going to kind of be like rolling and happening and, you know, doing things for you. We have the Fox here. And then we also have Coyote. I'm going to look up the definitions for these just to make sure that I'm, you know, telling you guys the right thing. But so far, you know, they're both like part of the dog family. So that's probably going to have to do, I think that that's a good correlation there. Okay. For Coyote, we have Boldness. I adapt to change. I'm fearless. Coyote is a confident canine that can adapt to any environment in order to survive. An opportunistic feeder, it is not picky about what's on tonight's menu. Courageous and unafraid, coyotes challenge the world to hold it back. If Coyote has sauntered into your reading today, it might be time to build up your courage and confront what's scaring you. Maybe you're at a crossroads, unsure of which direction to take. Follow Coyote's lead. Consider your options, then boldly make a decision and stick to it without second guessing yourself. Remember, life is dynamic. and forever changing, and you will always have to adapt to new surroundings. But beware, this energy could lead you into difficult scenarios if you are too hasty in making decisions or commitments. Do you approach life with self-doubt? Have you been holding yourself back? Are you a reluctant decision maker? Do you compromise yourself for others or tiptoe inside relationships? Be sure of yourself and move forward deliberately and fearlessly. Okay, so that's with that moderation here. Also with the intensity and this beauty, perfection, goddess type energy here. So I was just literally talking about having options. So this is a reminder to not be too impulsive whenever it does come to making decisions. Like I said, you can like kind of be more flowy about like what it is that you want to do, but also like take a few weeks to think about it first. You know, if you're feeling consistently about something throughout, like I swear, a whole moon cycle, so like 28 days, if you're still feeling the same way about something, then like that would mean that, you know, by the next full moon or the next, you know, it usually ends up being around the full moon we make these decisions, honestly, the full moon or the new moon. Around those times, if you're like really feeling something and you feel like you've been feeling it for weeks, that's usually around the time whenever we do make these decisions. So just kind of like be aware of like the moon phases, how you've been feeling, how long you've been feeling this thing, journal if you need to, you know, and then kind of like make decisions based off of that. Okay, for Fox, we have intelligence. I use the power of my mind to find opportunities for change. Fox has earned the reputation for being clever, mostly because of its ability to secure food no matter what the conditions. They are highly adaptive animals living in desert, Arctic, mountain, and forest environments. They live their lives at night, and they make sure to include numerous exits in their dens to escape predators. When Fox appears, ask yourself questions. Are you overthinking something? Is a continuous loop playing repeatedly in your mind? Are you tossing and turning at night? Do you feel stuck in a situation or relationship? Fox urges you to use your mental prowess to contemplate the life path you are on. Use Fox's energy to take ownership of your current state of affairs. Find a new way to adapt, to make a change, or to plan an escape. Alternatively, now may be a good time to get out of your head and gain a new perspective. You could write about your dilemma, then consider all the possible solutions. Talking to a trusted friend or holistic therapist may also help reveal a solution you haven't been able to see. Stop, think, and formulate a plan. Okay, I'm not really going to go on with that one at length because I was literally like just saying that, you know, like this reading is actually coming out to be like really on point of like what my first thoughts were about it, because the coyote is about, you know, making decisions and not being too hasty, and then the fox is about like literally planning that stuff out. So like think ahead of time, like I was saying, before making a decision that's going to like alter your life. It's important to like really think about that stuff ahead of time. And then we have, you know, that waning crescent here, so that acceptance, allowance, being, you know, positive about that. I'm also going to let you know I see a lot of pink and purple here. So if you are into colors and stuff, maybe look up what pink and purple like kind of like symbolize. Because I don't really usually notice a lot of like color in my spread, but like I have so much pink and purple in front of me, so. Okay, so here are ways of kind of like reminding yourself and grounding yourself like during this time period whenever you are receiving your blessings, because I feel like you're going to have the opportunity to be like shifting and moving a lot, and that's going to be a good situation like if you aren't happy with where you are right now, or if you've already been kind of like taking active steps to like move out of the situation you're in. We have I benefit with gratitude. So whenever we have gratitude for what's happening in our lives and things like that, we end up benefiting from it, because the universe will continue to bless us if we are counting our blessings. I act respectfully of others. Okay, that's important here too. So remember too that whenever you are like making these like different decisions, make sure that you're not like screwing anybody over for your own benefit, you know? Like let's say you want to move, but you have like a lease or something and you have a roommate. Make sure that you cover your roommate or like get a sublease or whatever it is you got to do. Don't just like up and go. You know, it's not fair to other people. And then we have, I do the best I can. So a reminder of like trusting yourself, trusting that you are putting in 100% of what it is that you know, need to do. And really, really meaning that too. Because some people will be like, I'm doing everything I can, but like they're obviously not. Like really be like doing what you can without losing yourself. Because there is an important boundary of like doing work for other people or helping other people. You need to not make sure there's that boundary of not losing yourself in something. We have the Fool, so new journey for sure here. Awesome, and it's with that hopeful card over here. We have Page of Wands, so time to learn. Time to like embrace creativity, honestly, and like kind of like looking forward to like what's going to come next is what I'm getting. So like definitely the Fool for you is like a new beginning. I feel like you're really letting go of like the way you were living before, something like that. Like I feel like there's been a giant shift for you. It's not that crazy with everything that's been going on right now, but I feel like you're like really getting like a really big like shift for you. We have Five of Cups reversed. So you were mourning something for a while, but you are now moving on from it. And that's that gratitude and that sun. So like brighter days are coming for sure. And I feel like you know that. I'm getting really like a vibe from this spread that like you know that brighter days are coming and that what happened in the past is in the past. And like that's okay. You know, sometimes we have to let go of things. You know, everything dies in a way. You know, cycles, people, pets, you know, everything does like at some point die. And it's important to be accepting of that. And then we have Three of Wands here. So establishing some type of like stability for yourself. And I feel like the more that you have gratitude for where you're at right now will continue to bring in these like good things, you know, and like these different options you're going to have of like what to do will help you with that stability as well. Like make sure you're making these like stable options. And then we have the World reversed. This tells me that you do have the world, but for some reason you kind of feel like you don't. And maybe it's that mourning and maybe you're having to learn how to bring that spark back in, you know? And I feel like there's a connection to other people too. Like maybe the situation you want to get out of is like scaring you or something like that. So you don't want to like put too much, like, you don't want to come off as being like full of yourself or something is kind of the message I'm getting here. Okay, we have vulnerability. It's okay to be vulnerable with yourself and with others, honestly, because if you're sure of yourself and who you are, then like being vulnerable and having somebody like say something about it or like whatever is like not really like about you, you know? It's about them. We have journey here, so I definitely feel like you're going on some type of journey. I don't know if that means physically or if that just means like mentally, psychologically, something like that, spiritual journey, whatever. But you're going on some type of journey. And that's where you're going to gain that stability and also continue to mourn what's going on, like in a way that like you're moving on from it, you know? And this vulnerability is going to take you on a new path as well. And then we have bound. Okay, so I think the balance of the fox and the coyote, so like using your intelligence to make the right decision and then using your boldness to make sure that you're not settling for less. I feel like you are bound between these two situations right now. So it'll be important for you to really find balance with both. We had temperance earlier, right? So finding balance. It'll be really important for you to figure out like how you cannot harm other people with your decisions, but also make decisions that are best for you and not best for other people. Like, I know that's a hard, like, balance to, like, imagine or think about, but, like, that's honestly, like, what's best for you in this situation. We have, I accept all of myself. The work I do on myself is not a goal. It is a process, a lifetime process. I choose to enjoy the process. Okay, so yeah, that bound to those two decisions means that like throughout your life, you might always have to make these huge life-changing decisions. See if you have Scorpio in your chart, honestly, and look for that because it's going to be an important area of letting you know of like where you are going to have constant change, constant death and rebirth. You know, look at what's in your 8th house also, if you're into astrology. And like to continue to not give up hope because having like life is always changing. Like how boring would it be to live the same thing every day for forever, you know? So that's why it's important to stay hopeful too whenever change is coming into your life. Like remember to continue to be hopeful about it. I am not restricted by limiting beliefs. I am gentle, kind, and comforting to my inner child as we uncover and release the old negative messages from family and society. Okay, so that tells me, and then that's over this acceptance over here. So this tells me that like you have in the past felt othered, but I feel like you're okay with it now because I feel like you're like, whatever, who cares? And that's a good place to be. Like, whatever, literally, who cares? That could have to do with the mourning as well, though. Like maybe you've had to give up friendships or maybe you've had to like, you know, maybe independence for you is new. So maybe that's that issue too of like respecting other people is like maybe there's a confusion of like what are healthy boundaries and what are walls, you know, or like what's me putting myself first, or what's me screwing other people over? You know, just kind of like think about stuff like that. Something that did pop up in my head is getting into a relationship with somebody who's already in a different relationship or married. So I feel like that's for somebody very specific who might be watching this. A reminder to not do that. You know, it's not self-love and it's not self-care to get into a relationship with somebody who is married. That's not you putting yourself first. That is you seeking validation because you want to be special enough to end an already established relationship. Okay? And that really comes from like something inside that needs healing. And that person leaving their husband or wife to be with you is not going to fix that. Okay, I just felt compelled for some of you guys to say that. So I feel like somebody is dealing with that and not really understanding, I guess, maybe the importance of that. Okay, here's some self-care tips here. We have sync with the moon. I was literally saying that earlier, like watch the moon phases, because I think it will be important for you when making these decisions to be aware of what phase of the moon you're in, so that your judgment doesn't become clouded by emotion only. You know, like, yes, our emotions lead us to making decisions and stuff like that. It's important to honor your emotions and not ignore them, all those things. But it's also important too to recognize how the stars and the moon are, you know, influencing you. So it'll be important to like keep track of what the phases of the moon are. We have connect with your ancestors. So do some meditation to connect. You can literally like lay in bed or sit on your couch or be in the bath, anywhere you feel comfortable, and kind of like close your eyes and meditate, and then like call out to your ancestors. That's the way I do it. There are other ways to do it, but that's the way I do it. Call out to your ancestors and see if they appear to you. It'll be like your eyes are closed, but you get like a sense that there's somebody standing at the end of the bed, and you can see them in your mind, you know? And then like the way I communicate is not necessarily like they're speaking. It's more of like I'm like guessing, and then they're giving me a vibe of yes or no. Like I'm being like led to my answer rather than them just telling me something, if that makes sense. I don't usually share my meditation stuff, but I just kind of felt compelled to share it right now. For anybody who's like looking to do that, don't judge me. Okay, and then we have connect with fire. There is something very powerful and magical about fire, right? I think we're the only animal that can create it. So, it will be important to kind of like, I would say light some candles if you don't have access to like a fire pit or like anything like that. I would say light some candles and then just allow yourself to be hypnotized by the fire. And this could also maybe go along with the connecting with your ancestors type of meditation. And then if you also sync it with the moon, you got a ritual going on. You know, you have a full ritual all planned out right there. Okay? So, yes. That was your reading. These are the blessings coming to you right now, is like these opportunities coming up that you're going to be able to like decide, this is what I want to do, that's what I want to do, and not have to be like held back by restrictions or limiting beliefs. You're moving on from the restrictions people have put on you, and you're just going forward and like ready to take on what comes. And that's awesome. That's a great place to be. Please leave a comment to let me know if that resonated, and I will see you next time. Bye. Okay, if you chose deck 3, then this is your reading. Let's pull some cards out to get started here. There we go. Okay. First thing I see here is strength. So it's important to embrace your inner strength, you know, and recognize like who you are. And I feel like you do have that idea already of like moving on, because I also see 8 of Cups here. So that tells me that you walked away from a toxic relationship, you know, which is telling me that like you do understand your worth, you know, and you don't want to put up with that stuff anymore because you are strong. This is also Leo energy. And then we have Son of Cups and Father of Cups. So this is a reminder to not fall into bad emotional habits. You know, these 2 cards this one represents like that person who is always has their hand out, you know what I mean? They're always asking for help, and they're never giving back, not even like being there for you. And then we have this other one, which is like being very compassionate and understanding and loving and all those things, but like really what their goal is to emotionally control and manipulate you. So I don't know if those were the situations you were dealing with before, or if you are the type of person who does these things. But either way, there's a strength here that's telling me that it's going to be important to kind of like have your own emotional strength where you're not looking for it elsewhere or trying to control other people's dynamics. It immediately popped up into my head that you might be a Cancer or some type of other water sign, or to watch out for those types of people. Sorry, water signs, y'all are just, the way that y'all are. Okay, so we got the ritual deck here. Okay, salt. Barrier, shelter, sacred space. It's important for you to have sacred space in your house. This is going to be with that Strength and 8 of Cups. So I feel like there's this person in your life that you had to walk away from. And it's important for you to create that barrier, like even an energy barrier. Like if this person is wishing ill on you because of what happened or whatever, then it's important to have that barrier and a sacred space in your home where it has all of your most powerful objects, everything that you feel you've put magic into yourself, so this would include like your own creations, like maybe your own paintings. If you're not into that stuff, it would be a good time to start, because you can create a sacred space based around your creations, and a place where you felt safe because that was emotional expression for you. We have South, challenge, endurance, and overcoming. Ooh, and North, health, wholeness, physical body. Okay, so I feel like you were feeling really down for a while because it was just challenging times. You were confused, didn't know what you were supposed to be doing, all those things. And then now you're going in a direction that's better, better for you. And you're also going in a direction where you care a lot more about your overall health. You care about your mind, body, and spirit way more than you used to, because maybe before you felt like maybe you were a slave to these people in your life. Like maybe they were very controlling emotionally and you felt like you had to cater to them a lot. And then now you're like kind of away from that because you've recognized your own strength and that you don't want to put up with that stuff anymore. So now you're in this new situation where maybe one of your first goals is your health, your overall health. I want to heal myself from what happened, Okay. We have possum. And we also have spider. I'm going to look these up just to make sure that I'm giving you the best message for these cards, because I feel like they give a lot of good advice. So for possum, we have retreat. I take time for myself and move forward with ease. Possums are famous for the defense mechanism of playing dead. To compensate for their short legs and poor eyesight, Mother Nature has given them superb acting skills to help them survive, and they never fail to give an award-winning performance. Possum shows us that there is a time to be engaged and a time to retreat. It is a good idea to occasionally clear the mind and reset. If we don't, stress can accumulate and life becomes overwhelming. When we allow interruptions, our attention is sapped and our vitality diminishes. It is up to us to take time out from the chaos before we are forced to. Turn off your electronic devices and let yourself be captivated by solitude. Give yourself the undivided attention you need to complete a project you're working on. Go on a retreat or create a retreat at home to reset. Your getaway may make you seem detached, but by taking this time for yourself, your inner world thrives and you're able to create. Okay, so during this transitional period for you, it'll be really important for you to prioritize your time. And honestly, and retreat. So we were saying that sacred space. So having this sacred space that you go to where like you don't have your phone there, and like maybe you're doing some other type of activity that makes you happy. For me, I do a lot of like my kind of like resets are in the bath, and I'll take like a book to read or something and try not to be on social media. I'm not always good about it, but it's kind of like that's the goal, is to like separate and put yourself away from those things. And I feel like with maybe the people that are emotionally holding you hostage, really, is what I'm going to say. The people who are emotionally holding you hostage are going to have an issue with you not being on your phone as much, but it'll be an easy way to like create that boundary there. Like, let's say like if they are messaging you and you're getting like, hello, why aren't you there? Why aren't you messaging me? And you're doing your own thing. Then whenever you get back on your phone, you can be like, oh, I'm sorry, I was doing this activity. And just be consistent with it. Like, don't rush to your phone every time it buzzes so that so-and-so won't be mad at you. Just consistently make it clear to them that my time is my time. And if they decide to no longer, hang out with you because of that, then like that's their decision, like we should respect people's private time and alone time and things like that, and not be too needy or clingy, because like it's a bad boundary. Ooh, another sign here. I was just saying to be creative, right? The spider stands for creativity. I weave the magic of creativity throughout my life. Beautiful cobwebs appear in small corners of neglected spaces. Our 8-legged friends are busy creating masterpieces while we go out to our busy lives. Inspiration comes from a sacred place that we are all connected to. It is where creative ideas are born and channeled through us. Inspiration blossoms only when we respect and bring it to life. When it is neglected, we become stagnant. Spider invites you to tap into the spectacular brilliance you have inside of yourself and to be adventurous with your creativity. Recognize that creativity feeds your soul. All it takes is a simple act of beginning. Have you always wanted to be a singer? Start by singing in the car. Do you daydream about writing poetry or short stories? Write one single paragraph. Are you hilarious? Sign up for an open mic. Experiment with new creative ideas and discover and explore your passions. Yes, I feel like that is so important for you, especially with this sacred space. Like, go, like, create your art and put it around you, you know? Because, like, it's a reminder of, like, feelings you were feeling or experiences you've had or, like, something like that. You get to just look around and, like, feel those emotions again. And, like, honestly, in a positive way, too, because it's, like, a release. It's this release of emotions. And, so yeah, that's going to be so important for you with this sacred space. I'm so excited for you because I feel like you're about to go through a period of understanding yourself at a deeper level and being like, I'm spending time with me, I'm doing my thing, you know, stuff like that. And that's really good for you. People avoid doing that as much as possible. Okay, I honor virtue. So just think of different things in your life that are virtues. Like, the only thing that's coming to my mind right now is patience is a virtue, right? So it's important, I think, for you now. I feel like you're at the point on your spiritual journey where it's time to start literally making mantras for yourself. It's time to start, like, having, like, set rules that are yours, that you live by. They're important to you. They're not what your family tells you to do. They're not what friends tell you to do. It is your own sacred thing that you go by that you don't have to share with anyone. You know, it's your own, like, spiritual, enlightening feelings about how you should approach life. I regard all altars with respect. So that is respecting literally, like, different religions, but also different people's homes and different people's sacred spaces. Like, don't go into somebody else's house, track mud everywhere, whatever. It's to kind of, like, be more mindful about how you're acting in other people's spaces, and then also how you're valuing your own space. Like, it's important to respect people's magical things. And then we have here, I embrace the all. I think you're going on next level. I feel like what happened to you with these people was a spiritual breakthrough. And it happens a lot of times, like, some people do just wake up, but for a lot of us, it's at the deepest, darkest point of our life that we're like, I can't live like this anymore. I can't do it. You know? And a lot of people, it becomes like, first it starts with, like, not being understood by family. Then it starts with, like, engaging in toxic friendships. Then, like, looking for romantic relationships that are toxic. And then one day you just realize you're surrounded by people who don't even know you and they don't try to. You know? And then you try to numb yourself by, like, alcohol or validation or, like, whatever. You're trying to, like, numb this feeling inside that, like, you don't belong with these people. You don't belong in this space. Sometimes, too, it becomes like you become physically ill. This is where a lot of people develop things like fibromyalgia, IBS, like whatever. Your body starts to literally attack you because you are living in spaces that are unhealthy for you. People are sapping your energy away. People are putting everything on your shoulders and nobody sees it, but you're carrying it around. And your back, it's just like you're running out of space. So I feel like for you, you got to that point and now you're like, I'm not living my life like that anymore, you know? And so the people that you had in your life that were, like, really, like, pushing you down over and over and over again, you're, like, moving away from it because you know that you're stronger than that. You're stronger than them, you know, because you're able to, like, look at yourself objectively when they won't. They refuse. You know, they'd rather tear people apart than recognize for a single second that they're toxic, you know, or that they're wrong or, like, whatever. And it's like, you don't want to be a part of that. You understand that you participated in some way to this dynamic. You understand that you can be toxic at certain points, but you don't want to live constantly being shamed and reminded of your past. You don't want to do that anymore, you know? So I feel like that's really important. You're embracing the all of the universe. We have King of Swords reversed. So people who are condescending, talk down to you, are rude to you, out. They're out. You're done with it. You don't want to be around them anymore. We have Five of Wands. I do see that there will be conflict for you, but that's okay, you know, because you're embracing it. You're embracing the good with the bad. You're moving on. You're moving forward. I have the Lovers here. So I feel like this is a good opportunity. Like, honestly, this is like a divine choice, but this also can represent soulmates. So I feel like you releasing these toxic thoughts about yourself, these toxic people that have been in your life, like all those things, you releasing that stuff will be the divine decision that I think will lead you to a soulmate connection. This can be soulmate as in friendship, or this can be soulmate as in relationship. Just remember to not move too fast. If you get into a relationship and it feels like it's moving super fast and you guys are committing really quickly and like all those things, that's not a soulmate connection. I mean, it can be in a way, but many times that ends up being karmic, because it shouldn't happen like that. It should be more of like a slow progression of like, hey, we connect in this way. Hey, we connect in this way, you know, and like slowly getting to know each other. If it happens like, then that's kind of a symbol that one of you guys is mirroring the other and not being authentic. Sorry, but that's just the truth, you know? And then we have Wheel of Fortune reversed. So yes, this is like your destiny. You're meant to do this, but I get the feeling that there's some resistance there. And I'm wondering what that's coming from, because I'm getting the idea that you are very open to the growth that you're experiencing, you know? But maybe ask where that blockage is coming from. Like, why? How am I blocking my blessings? How am I not allowing myself to really embrace this, you know? And then, like I said, we got death. I didn't say death earlier, but I did say that you're letting go of that stuff, you know? Because we did kind of get to that point whenever we were talking earlier about no longer living that life anymore. No longer numbing yourself, no longer dealing with, you know, chronic pain because of other people's issues, like none of that stuff, you know? And I feel like that is what's like leading you to these like new soulmate connections. But remember to be aware of it. Please be aware. The reason I'm warning it so much is because it's happened to me and it's happened to my friends, and I literally have a friend that it's happening to right now. Like she's kind of convinced that there's a soulmate connection with this person, but it's really her reliving cycles that she's already lived in, you know? And so I'm kind of like watching it happen, and I'm just like, don't know what to do, because it's not really up to me what other people do, you know? So it's like, it's important to really recognize, like, are these patterns I'm repeating? Is this a cycle I'm repeating? Does this person remind me of another person from my past? That's a big key thing that this is a karmic relationship, is if this person reminds you of somebody from your past that you did not have a good closing out with. And that can also include sudden death. You know, like if you were in a relationship with somebody in the past and they suddenly died, and now you're with this other person, becoming friends with them, dating them, whatever, and they remind you of that person who died suddenly, and you're all like, oh, I feel like a connection, like that person is in that person. The universe took them away for a reason. Not trying to be insensitive. This is literally like what I believe spiritually. When the universe takes things away, it's because it's no longer meant for us. It served its purpose, you know? So this is the ending of relationships, things like that. So whenever we're looking for it repeatedly again, the universe already took it away. You know, we're not meant to keep living in the same cycles. You're not meant to keep reliving these traumas that have happened to you. Like, that what happened was a trauma. It was something you suffered. And it was something that impacted your life going forward. So to actively choose to relive that cycle is against the law of attraction, you know? Like, you're supposed to learn your karma. You're supposed to understand. You're supposed to get these lessons from it. And I'm not saying any of the things that happened weren't serious, that it doesn't feel natural to want closure in those situations. All of those things, like, you know, I'm trying to be as sensitive as possible, but at the same time really saying like what spiritually I believe, what the law of attraction is saying. Okay? I don't want to invalidate anybody who really feels like they're living their path. I just want to give warnings for these situations that live in cycles and they perpetuate themselves again and again, because you don't want to keep experiencing that same trauma again and again and again. Okay? I'm saying it from a place of love, not fear or hate or wanting to crap on you or make you feel like what you're experiencing is not what you're experiencing or any of that stuff, okay? We have duality here. This is kind of another sign to me that you are going to meet your soulmate very soon. I gave you all those warnings. This was not meant to scare you. This was meant to make you aware of karmic relationships. In fact, look it up more if you want, so you can just be really aware of what it's supposed to feel like whenever you're with a soulmate connection rather than a karmic relationship connection, okay? But I do feel like you'll be meeting your soulmate very soon. Another thing about the soulmate thing too, it's not chaotic. If you feel like you're joining a relationship and it's very chaotic, that's kind of another example of karmic relationship. And that means too, like, maybe you meet somebody and you guys become friends, and as soon as you become friends, the relationships around the both of you just start falling apart. That's kind of an example of like what a karmic relationship would feel like, you know? If you're in a soulmate connection, it just kind of like becomes a part of your life already. But if you join a karmic relationship, that's a sign from the universe that like this was not a good choice for you, because like they'll lose all of their friends, or like you guys had other friends in common, but now that you two have decided to link up because you think that there's a soulmate connection between you, and then like everything just falls apart, it's a huge sign that this is a karmic relationship. This is the universe telling you no, don't engage in this, you know? We have mother here. So it's important to analyze your relationship with your mother and how to mother yourself. That's going to be here with that possum, so the retreat and the creativity. So I feel like it'll be important to kind of like whenever you're going to retreat, analyze like how your relationship with your mother is, and kind of like what steps you can take to be more thoughtful of yourself, more understanding of yourself, and like really mother yourself during this time. And then I have crafty here too. So like another symbol of like being creative, thinking outside the box, things like that. And I feel like if you do these things, and try not to resist your destiny either. That, you know what? That's why I felt compelled to go on at length about the karmic relationship. Because I was like, I don't know why, but I really feel like I need to like warn you. Like I'm getting the message that your soulmate's coming, but I'm also getting this like hardcore message about karmic relationships. I think the Wheel of Fortune reversed here is telling me that there is an opportunity, like you will be meeting your soulmate, but I do feel like there is a chance that you might sabotage yourself, and this will take you off track. You're meant to meet your soulmate, but if you decide instead to cling on to somebody who reminds you of a past thing or whatever it is, this is going to take you off track. So, and that's you standing in your own way. Okay? And remember, this reading is supposed to be about blessings. So don't block your own blessings. Allow yourself the opportunity to move forward. Allow yourself the opportunity to be open to a positive relationship that isn't filled with chaos and drama. Okay? I know that can feel uncomfortable at first, for sure. Especially if you might be the type of person to associate chaos and drama with passion, you know? So that's like some internal work that needs to be done there in order to really like understand when a relationship is positive and healthy. Okay? My business is prosperous. I rejoice in other people's success because I know there is plenty for everyone's. Okay? So I feel like you probably in the past have like dealt with people who like anytime you succeed, they see it as a threat. So maybe you made yourself smaller. I'm really getting that feeling. I'm getting the feeling that you've kind of always felt this way. And so that's why it is really important for you to change those cycles and to stop perpetuating the same cycle you grew up in. Like I'm getting the feeling that your family didn't really accept you, and that now you continuously have friendships and romantic relationships where you're not accepted, and it just kind of keeps playing out, you know? I am my own unique self. Yes, embrace yourself. Everyone is unique and different. If we are like other people, then we are not expressing our specialness. Okay, so it's important to embrace like who you are as a person and get into that creativity. That's going to be so important for you, is creativity. Okay. For some like self-care stuff you can kind of like do at this time, we have deep breathing. So allow yourself to be the next one. But allow yourself to be kind of like one with yourself and meditation and do some deep breathing. This can help with anxiety. This can help with like not being clear, not feeling clear about what you should do next type of stuff. The next one is create art. That's why I said You're getting so many messages here to create art, to like make art like something that you really implement and something that you start like, okay, here's what I would say. I would say if you are having the feeling to reach out to somebody who you know is not good for you because they make you feel uncomfortable, they make you feel this really intense, chaotic, like I don't know what's going to happen next feeling that like feels like passion, but it's not actually passion, it's just chaos. If you feel like reaching out to somebody like that, instead just create art and get your feelings out into art. I used to have this thing in relationships where like I would get bored and I would be like, I don't want to be with this person anymore. I'm like so over it. And then I realized that like another way that I can get out, because what I really liked was like the spark of a new relationship that was like fun to me, you know? I really liked like having a crush and that person liking you back and then like first kiss and all that stuff. So a way that I got that stuff out was by getting into romance novels. I was able to like express myself in that way, and I would like write romance novels too. So it's like I'm not being destructive of myself by ending relationships that are good for me to join other relationships just because they're new and they feel fresh and they feel different. And you know, it's like I'm actually making the active decision to make that stuff fiction, make all the drama that I'm searching for a creative outlet instead of perpetuating it in my life, you know? And I really did feel like my romantic relationships immediately got less chaotic, you know? I ended up meeting my fiance at that time, you know? And it felt less like intense and fighting and pressure and all this stuff. And like, I like this person now, or like whatever it was that it was before. Okay? I also want you to not feel alone either, because all of what I've been saying is not judgment at all. Okay? And then we have build strength. So through this change and big shift in your life and this experience, you're building strength for your future. And like, look, the third eye is open. So literally building intuitive strength. And like trusting yourself more. Trust what's going on inside. If you're getting a panicked feeling when you're with someone, those are not butterflies. They might feel like butterflies, but it's really because you feel on edge. You don't know what this person's gonna do, you know? And like in a way that makes you obsessed, you know? Are they gonna cut me off? Are they gonna stop talking to me? I don't know. That wouldn't be a soulmate connection. A soulmate connection is much more like you know how they feel about you. You don't have to question it. You don't have to ask. You don't have to give them tests. You don't have to do any of that. You know how this person feels about you because they express it. And honestly, the vibe you get around them is like just like consistency and security and all these things. It's not going to feel chaotic. It's not going to feel scary. It's going to just feel like, oh, sometimes you can get scared because you have certain abandonment issues and stuff. Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. I'm not saying it's smooth sailing all the time. You still have internal work you always have to do. But it's not going to be that intense panic of abandonment all the time. Whenever you meet your soulmate, it's not what it's going to feel like. It's going to feel secure. It's going to feel like this person is available when I call, if I'm calling at a reasonable time, you know, and this person is emotionally available for me. You know, this person understands me. They don't judge me the same way that I feel consistently that I've been judged in the past. This person understands me. And I feel like that's what's coming for you for like this blessing period. So remember to mother yourself, remember that strength, and remember to release these toxic relationships, and remember to not accept any new ones in. If you find yourself in that same pattern, like let's say you want to make new friends because you know your old friends are bad. You start like trying to like hang out with them, and then you're getting this vibe that they're like the friends you've had in the past and the friendships that didn't work out. That's your intuition. It's telling you that like this friendship's probably not going to work out. And you can just like stop talking to that person or be a distant friend with them. That's always okay too. Like if I see you, I see you. But you're not like actively making the choice to like go spend alone time with them where you might become a part of like their drama or this is going on or like whatever, you know. It's just more of like it's a relationship with solid boundaries where both people want to grow and both people respect each other's alone time, boundaries, all those things. Okay, so that was your message for you. I feel like it got really intense. I really hope that you're feeling okay. Please leave a comment to let me know if it resonated, and I'll see you next time. Good luck.